Index of notable clips, headlines, and references being shared across the community, organized for quick browsing. Use it to spot patterns, pull links, and build your own research list. Qnotables.com. Browse the notables, verify the facts, stay informed. All reports can be found on Q Research or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas, and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here.
From the Q Research Boards. January 9, 2026. Jimmy Kimmel holds up anti-Trump shirt on air. Late-night host Jimmy Kimmel sparked controversy after holding up a t-shirt on his show reading, "Donald Trump is going to kill you." The segment immediately drew strong reactions online, with critics calling it reckless rhetoric in an already tense political climate. Supporters framed it as satire, but the clip is now circulating widely across social media. Online tool shows how to compress JPEG images to 14 kilobytes. A new tutorial is getting attention for walking users through compressing JPEG images down to 14 kilobytes. The tool is aimed at content creators and activists who need small file sizes for fast sharing, archiving, and posting on platforms with strict upload limits. It highlights how digital optimization has become part of modern information warfare. Live protest at ICE building in Portland. In Portland, protesters have gathered outside a federal ICE facility, chanting and holding signs denouncing immigration enforcement. The demonstration has been ongoing, with activists accusing agents of heavy-handed tactics. Federal and local law enforcement are monitoring the situation, and so far reports say the protest has been tense but controlled. Labor Department message: "We are going to win. America first." The U.S. Department of Labor posted a pointed message declaring, "We are going to win. America first." The statement aligns with the administration's broader economic and immigration agenda, signaling an aggressive posture on trade, jobs, and enforcement. Critics see it as overtly political, while supporters say it reflects a needed shift in priorities. Trump orders Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to buy $200 billion in mortgage bonds. President Trump has directed Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to purchase up to $200 billion in mortgage-backed securities in an effort to push mortgage rates lower. The move is designed to stimulate home buying and refinancing, putting downward pressure on borrowing costs. Supporters call it a strong boost to the housing market. Mike Lindell claims polling place file drops nearly stayed hidden. Businessman Mike Lindell is again in the spotlight, saying he is reviewing files he claims were sent to polling places and telling viewers, "We came this close to never knowing." He argues that data irregularities nearly escaped public scrutiny. Election officials dispute his claims, but his comments continue to resonate with voters skeptical of past election procedures. Battle of New Orleans anniversary highlighted by Labor Department. The Labor Department used its official channels to highlight the anniversary of the Battle of New Orleans on January 8, 1815, when Andrew Jackson's forces defeated the British near the end of the War of 1812. The Post framed the battle as a reminder of American resilience and military strength, tying historical victory to modern patriotic themes. Washington. Quote on American identity resurfaces. A separate Labor Department message spotlighted George Washington's 1796 line, "The name of American must always exalt the just pride of patriotism." The quote was shared to reinforce national unity and identity during a time of political division. The timing suggests an attempt to rally public spirit behind current policy fights. Trump cites massive rallies and Iranian city under protesters' control. President Trump says over 1 million people are rallying in Iran, claiming the country's second-largest city is under protesters' control, and that regime forces have pulled back. The statement points to widespread unrest inside the Islamic Republic and signals continued U.S. support for demonstrators pushing back against the regime. Nunes says new fusion plant will only be built in a red state. Former Congressman Devin Nunes commented on a proposed fusion energy facility, saying bluntly, "We're only going to be building this in a red state." The remark underscores how partisan divides now extend into high-tech infrastructure decisions, with Republicans and Democrats vying to host next-generation energy projects. Minnesota whistleblowers say they were threatened into silence. Whistleblowers in Minnesota allege they were warned to stay silent about Somali-linked fraud schemes, being told they would lose their job, their home, and even have their kids tracked if they spoke out. The claims add fuel to growing outrage over welfare and grant fraud in the state and raise serious questions about intimidation and retaliation. Luna says Walls and Ellison complicit in Somali fraud, refers for arrest. Representative Anna Paulina Luna says testimony has given her enough evidence to believe Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison were knowingly complicit in a Somali fraud scheme. Luna says she has referred both for arrest. Trump reveals plans for future governorship of Venezuela. President Trump has publicly outlined plans for a future governorship structure in Venezuela, suggesting a transition framework once the Maduro regime is fully removed from power. While details remain vague, Trump's comments signal a vision where U.S.-backed authorities and Venezuelan interim leaders would jointly oversee reconstruction and security. Trump renews Free Tina Peters call. President Trump again posted the phrase, "Free Tina Peters," calling attention to the former Colorado election official facing criminal charges tied to alleged data breaches. Trump and his allies portray Peters as a whistleblower, while prosecutors say she violated security rules. The case has become a rallying point in election integrity debates. Luna seeks Vatican support over persecution of Orthodox Christians. Representative Anna Paulina Luna is reportedly seeking help from the Vatican regarding what she describes as President Zelensky's persecution of Orthodox Christians in Ukraine. Luna's outreach brings religious freedom concerns into the diplomatic arena and puts added pressure on Kiev's government over its handling of church and state. Doomsday plane spotted at LAX on livestream. A U.S. doomsday plane, designed to serve as an airborne command post in a nuclear or national emergency, was seen on a live aviation broadcast landing at Los Angeles International Airport. Observers say it is the first such appearance at LAX in decades. The Pentagon has not provided details, but the sighting is fueling intense speculation online. Portland shooting suspect tied to Tren de Aragua gang. New details from Portland say the passenger shot during a Border Patrol stop was an illegal immigrant from Venezuela, allegedly affiliated with the Tren de Aragua gang and linked to a recent local shooting. Authorities say the vehicle's driver is also believed to be tied to the same transnational criminal network. The case is becoming a flashpoint in the immigration and public safety debate. Pentagon moves against Kelly over leaked video, advisor spared. Inside the Pentagon, officials have reportedly taken action against senior figure Mark Kelly over a controversial video incident, while advisor Goodlander has been spared discipline. The move signals internal friction over conduct, messaging, and accountability as defense leaders navigate a politically charged environment. Man threatens to kill Americans over Quran burning. Video circulated online shows a Muslim man telling commentator Nick Shirley that if any American burns or attempts to burn the Quran, he will kill them and their family. The direct threat has drawn widespread condemnation and renewed concerns about violent extremism and the risks around highly charged religious provocations. Berlin enters fifth day without power after suspected left-wing attack. Berlin is in its fifth day of power outages, following what authorities describe as a targeted attack on the city's energy system by a left-wing extremist group. Large sections of the city remain in the dark, disrupting transit, communications, and daily life. Security services are racing to secure infrastructure and track down those responsible. Steve Hilton details massive California fraud. YouTube suppresses clip. Commentator Steve Hilton has been interviewed about what he calls massive fraud in California, including COVID-era and welfare schemes, and says President Trump is now officially looking into the matter. Supporters note that YouTube flagged or suppressed the video, raising fresh questions about information control on major platforms. Venezuelan immigrant calls Maduro capture salvation. A Venezuelan immigrant who came to the United States in 2014 gave an emotional interview after Maduro's capture, saying, "We are happy. We see it as salvation," but warning that supporters inside Venezuela cannot safely celebrate. The comments highlight both hope and fear among those who fled the regime. Border Patrol shooting details leaked to extremist group, NGO reports. Journalist Andy Nago reports that internal information about the Border Patrol shooting in Portland, involving suspected Tren de Aragua members, was leaked by a city source to the far-left group PDX IceWatch. That group then used the information to mobilize rioters to the scene, raising serious concerns about insider leaks and targeted confrontation with federal agents. Crowd in New York City chants, "Kristi Noem will hang." Video from New York City shows thousands of left-wing protesters chanting, "Kristi Noem will hang," referring to the Homeland Security Secretary and governor. The chant has been condemned as explicit incitement against a public official and underscores how violent rhetoric has escalated around immigration enforcement and the recent ICE-involved shooting. New details emerge in LDS shooting investigation. Investigators continue to dig into the recent shooting near an LDS church, with new reports focusing on the shooter's background, motive, and movements before the attack. Authorities are examining whether ideological, personal, or criminal factors played the primary role. The case remains active, and officials say more information will be released as the probe continues.
At shop.isitwaya.com, everything you buy supports Qnotables, the place where people talk freely no matter what. Check out our Qn honey pot, a jar of yummy honey that's as strong as your voice. Put it on toaster and tea. It's not just honey, it's freedom in every bite. Then there's Qn butter, a smooth handmade skin cream that makes you feel good while you fight for what's right. Awesome wood and pieces for display only. Hang them up or set them out. They're for showing off Qn's tough spirit. Want to help even more? Get a proto membership. So go to shop.isitwaya.com now and grab some goodies. Help Qnotables keep free speech alive, and let's keep the ideas flowing loud and free.
All reports can be found on Q Research or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here. From the Q Research Boards, 8 January 2026. Trump signs order withdrawing U.S. from 66 global bodies. President Trump signed an executive order withdrawing the United States from 66 international organizations, including 31 affiliated with the United Nations. Officials say the move is intended to reduce U.S. obligations and reshape engagement on global governance. Trump shares new video after ICE shooting. President Trump released a video message responding to the ICE-involved shooting, reaffirming support for federal law enforcement and condemning attacks on officers. The video was shared widely and emphasized law and order themes. Minneapolis protest footage shows flag-burning video from Minneapolis, shows footage of demonstrators burning a flag near the site of unrest. Police and observers are documenting the incident as part of the broader reaction to the ICE operation and its aftermath. Maine governor refuses enforcement, state becomes sanctuary. Maine's Governor Janet Mills rejected calls to act on immigration enforcement, leading observers to label the state a de facto sanctuary jurisdiction. Critics argue it could hinder enforcement cooperation with federal authorities. Minnesota activates emergency operations. National Guard alerted Minnesota. Governor Tim Walz activated the State Emergency Operations Center and alerted the National Guard in response to rising civil unrest and safety concerns in Minneapolis. Officials said the activation is intended to support local law enforcement and assist in de-escalation. Flight tracking shows Qatar Air Force One. Departing LAX. Aviation tracking data shows a Qatar Air Force One aircraft departed Los Angeles International Airport. The flight drew attention due to its timing and markings, and analysts say such flights are routinely monitored for international movement patterns. Oregon diesel truck restrictions. Highlighted amid industry concerns. Reports say an Oregon policy limiting diesel truck purchases is affecting local truckers. Critics of the policy claim it could harm the industry, while state officials argue it supports environmental goals and transitions to cleaner vehicles. Minnesota governor clashes with federal prosecutor over Somali fraud case. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz suggested the federal Somali fraud prosecutor should be removed, accusing him of defamation. Walz's comments come amid ongoing fraud investigations and heightened political tensions over enforcement priorities. Minneapolis. Safety warnings issued for civilians. After dark local alert systems warn civilians to avoid certain areas in Minneapolis after dark due to potential escalation of unrest. Police urged residents to stay safe and respect law enforcement orders as tensions continue. Trump warns NATO. Without U.S., there is no alliance. President Trump issued a warning to NATO allies that without American participation and support, the transatlantic alliance would not hold together. He emphasized that U.S. military capability and commitment are central to collective defense. Schumer questions Trump plan for Venezuelan oil proceeds. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer questioned a Trump administration proposal to allocate proceeds from Venezuelan oil sales to offshore accounts. Schumer expressed concern about transparency and oversight. Ghost Fleet reported in pre-dawn movement aviation and maritime tracking data show a cluster of previously idle vessels and aircraft moving in pre-dawn hours, leading to commentary about a so-called ghost fleet. Analysts say such movements can reflect repositioning rather than unusual activity, but they draw attention when clustered. U.S. seizes 2 Venezuela-linked tankers in escalation of oil blockade. In 2 back-to-back pre-dawn operations, U.S. forces seized 2 sanctioned tankers tied to Venezuela's shadow fleet, including a Russian-flagged vessel known as the Marinera and the Panama-flagged Sofia. U.S. officials say the ships were intercepted under sanction violations in the North Atlantic and Caribbean, marking the most aggressive phase yet in Washington's blockade and enforcement campaign. The actions follow a 2-week pursuit and are intended to disrupt illicit crude flows. UK helps US with support. In Russian-flagged tanker seizure, British defense officials confirmed the UK provided support to US forces in the seizure of a Russian-flagged oil tanker linked to Venezuela sanctions. The UK contributed surveillance and operational support, including use of bases and naval replenishment, while US forces executed the boarding at sea. Officials described it as part of broader efforts to enforce sanctions and crack down on sanctioned shipping. Minneapolis driver's baby daddy incident. Reported online video and commentary circulating online reference an incident described as the driver's baby daddy, with footage posted of an apparent altercation. Law enforcement has not released official details about the identities or circumstances, and public safety officials urge caution in interpreting social media posts pending verified reporting. Critics attack Minnesota leadership. Over crime and enforcement statements circulating online accuse Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison, and other state leaders of being asleep at the wheel or complicit in crime and public safety breakdowns in Minneapolis and surrounding communities. State officials have defended their actions and pointed to ongoing investigations, while local law enforcement continues to respond to unrest. Clowns to the left, jokers to the right. Phrase. Trending on social media. A phrase gaining traction online, clowns to the left, jokers to the right, is being shared broadly on social media in reaction to political divisions and polarized coverage of recent law enforcement and protest activity. Analysts note the phrase reflects public frustration with both sides of political debate, though it remains a cultural meme rather than a reportable event. Bakery workers in NYC push to unionize. Over Israel support, dispute workers at one of New York City's largest bakery chains are seeking to unionize and have publicly demanded the company end what they describe as support for Israel amid ongoing Middle East conflict. The movement adds to broader labor organizing in the city and highlights how international issues are becoming part of local labor debates. Report quotes victim describing fear in incident. In a widely shared account to a media outlet, a victim of an incident was described as obviously scared and preparing to leave when events unfolded. The remarks were given to a national news organization and are part of a broader reporting thread on civil unrest and crime in major cities. Online posts. Ask green light on Lebanon amid Middle East tension signals, indicating a possible shift in dynamics in Lebanon, are being discussed online, with speculation about new developments in regional security. Official sources have not confirmed any change in status, and analysts say readers should await verified reporting before interpreting early claims. On this day, George Washington, elected first U.S. president on January 7, 1789, George Washington was elected the first president of the United States, a milestone in American history that established the peaceful transfer of authority under the newly ratified Constitution. Washington went on to shape the executive branch and set enduring precedents for the office. Claims. 9 Republicans voted with Democrats circulate online social media posts, claim 9 Republican lawmakers voted with Democrats on recent legislation. Official congressional voting records are the best source for accurate vote tallies, and viewers are encouraged to consult those records for precise alignment and breakdowns rather than rely on third-party summaries. Iran signals. Possible. Preemptive action after threats against Khamenei. Iranian state and diplomatic sources say Tehran may consider preemptive measures following threats made by U.S. lawmakers and allied leaders targeting Iran's supreme leader. Regional tensions remain high, with Iran's leadership warning of severe consequences if its security is threatened. U.S. Fleet Forces highlight precision and air power. The U.S. Fleet Forces Command shared imagery and messaging, emphasizing precision at sea and power in the air, showcasing readiness and capability across multiple domains as part of broader defense posture statements. The post underscores ongoing naval training and joint operational preparedness. Fighting expands between Syrian army and Kurds in Aleppo. Death toll rises, reports from independent monitoring groups, and regional news outlets say clashes between Syrian army forces and Kurdish fighters have escalated in and around Aleppo, with the death toll rising. Humanitarian groups note civilians have been caught in crossfire as factions contest territory in northern Syria. Freelance journalist dies after fall from Paris apartment. A freelance Russian journalist, aged 38, has died after falling from a 7th-floor apartment in Paris. Police confirmed the fall and are investigating circumstances, with preliminary media reports indicating the journalist had previously reported threats against his life. Official findings are pending as investigators review the scene and interviews. U.S. expands visa bond requirements for certain countries. The U.S. State Department announced an expansion of visa bond requirements, potentially setting bonds up to $15,000 for nationals from additional countries as part of immigration and security policy adjustments. The change aims to ensure compliance with U.S. entry and exit requirements. Seattle groups join national protest against ICE raids. Community organizations in Seattle joined national protests against immigration enforcement after a recent ICE-involved incident in Minneapolis. Demonstrators called for policy changes and greater oversight of federal immigration operations, while police worked to keep demonstrations peaceful and traffic moving. Judicial Watch reports 5 million names removed from voter rolls. Judicial Watch, a government accountability group, says it has identified and verified the removal of 5 million names from voter rolls nationwide. Officials say the effort aims to improve accuracy of voter lists, though the number and locations of removals vary across states. Scavino meets with Treasury Secretary and presidential appointees. Dan Scavino spoke with U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and addressed presidential appointments during a recent lunch event, highlighting interagency cooperation on economic and financial policy priorities. The meeting was shared on official social platforms. Noem reports, major SNAP fraud bust in Boston, area South Dakota. Secretary Noem announced that federal and state agents busted a $7 million snap fraud scheme in the Boston area, including so-called ghost stores that allegedly pulled in hundreds of thousands of dollars monthly in benefits. Officials said the operation included arrests and asset seizures tied to the fraudulent network. Vice President says nationwide welfare fraud ring exists. The vice president stated that evidence points to a nationwide welfare fraud ring involving illegal activity and misuse of public benefits, and vowed to prosecute those responsible. Law enforcement agencies have said they are following leads and coordinating across jurisdictions. Australia reports skilled migrant shortfall. Australian government data indicate only about 10% of migrants categorized as skilled meet targeted skill requirements, according to internal reports. Officials and industry leaders are discussing policy responses to align immigration outcomes with labor market needs.
Every voice matters. The power of free speech is more important than ever. Imagine a place where you can share your thoughts freely, explore new ideas, and engage in meaningful conversations anonymously. With online anonymity, you can express yourself without fear of judgment. It's about freedom, creativity, and connection. Join the conversation that matters. Embrace your voice. Celebrate your freedom. Visit 8kun.top today. That's 8kun.top.
That's all for now. Stay alert, stay informed, and never hand your thinking over to anyone on a screen, including me. God bless you, God bless our troops, and God bless the United States of America.